Welcome back to Southern Law, Shade Tree Forensics, and the Murdaugh case. Last time we looked at the shotgun position that drew so many questions. This time we will look at how Maggie Murdaugh's cell phone ended up off the side of the road. The state's theory is that Alex Murdaugh threw the phone out of his driver's side window after murdering his wife and son and on the way to his mother's house. Testimony toward the end of the state's case indicated Murdaugh was driving fairly slowly until he passed the point where the phone was discarded about a half mile from his property entrance, and then he sped up considerably.
These are photographs that I took of Maggie Murdaugh's phone as it was laying in the brush area or leaved area closer to Moselle Road, about 15-20 feet away from Moselle Road.
Well, when the state's witness who found the telephone, Ultra Jack Dylan Hightower, said the phone was discovered 15 to 20 feet off the side of the road, defense attorney Harpootlian cross-examined the plausibility of the scenario that anyone could have thrown this phone from a vehicle and have it land where it did. The implication was that someone put it there, likely by walking off the side of the road to dispose of it.
Just assume with me for a second that they want to get rid of that phone by throwing it out the window. They could either throw it from their lane of traffic if they're going towards Elmina, or they can pull over like that and throw it out. It'd be easier, when I say easier, it'd be a much tougher toss that far in from if they never left their lane of traffic, correct?
Guess it depends on who's throwing it. There's a multitude of things.
It'd be me, and I don't throw very well.
No. Well, I do, so I could 100% make that throw.
You could throw it from, okay, so you wouldn't even have to change lanes. You just throw it out the window.
Yes, sir, 100%.
And you would throw it overhanded or underhanded?
I'd throw it sideways, flick it.
Sideways, okay.
While Harpootlian said he couldn't throw well, the state's attorney was sure he could easily make the toss. Let's check it ourselves. We have testimony the phone was found 15 to 20 feet from the side of the road, and since the late-breaking GPS data shows Murdaugh, though traveling slowly, did not stop. So if he dumped it, it would have had to have been from a moving car. For his benefit, we will assume he did not leave his lane of travel, which means some distance needs to be added to the 15 to 20 feet to cover the additional lane. Harpootlian tried to amp that up to 40 feet, but that's just not realistic. The road is less than 25 feet wide from what I see. So you add half of that to cover the lane he has to throw over, and maybe a foot or so for being on his side of the lane. Now we're talking about 27, 28 feet to 33 feet, give or take, unless he swerved to the left any while he was about to make the toss, which would reduce the distance. I measured out Harpootlian's 40 feet as a target. Then I made several throws from the driver's seat of a vehicle. I couldn't see any way to get distance with my right hand, so I used the left hand to toss, just like the state's witness said he would do as well. I went from a low of about 26 feet to a high of about 33 feet. I never got 40 feet, which would make Harpootlian happy, I'm certain. But the high end of my tosses, which I did more than once, would be well high enough to cover the high-end estimate of distance that Maggie Murdaugh's phone traveled from a vehicle and over the side of the road, plus this extra lane of traffic. The low end of my tosses would be below the test minimum. Of course, whoever was disposing of the phone might not have been well to the right of the center line, and probably they wouldn't be if they were about to throw something out the window to the left. So to me, those are still far enough that it would fit a reasonable scenario. Not even counting my vehicle was likely lower than the suspect's vehicle, probably a Suburban, and I was not on a raised roadway, and also not jacked like the agent. Now, the idea of the phone being tossed out the window doesn't mean Murdaugh is guilty, because anyone could have tossed it out the window. So if it were impossible to throw it out the window and hit that spot, he couldn't have been the person because he didn't stop his vehicle. But I think Harpootlian's loose distance calculations and suppositions about the difficulty of the throw, they just don't match reality. It seems to me the phone going out a window and ending up where it did is very possible. I mean, I hit those distances almost every time. I think the state's case, when fully considered, is strong, and they have, unfortunately, the right guy. The victim's phone's going unused by them almost at the same time, and while he was still there, even by his own admission, that's very damning. And there's a lot of other circumstantial evidence. Nevertheless, the defense makes their case next, and fairness requires paying attention to the points they make. So until then, thanks, bye.